to Charles Boulevard. Today we have a special video about my, I call it humbucking guitars. It means guitars with humbucking pickup. And I must say this is something like a story of my life. Because it's this really, I mentioned it once before, it shows how people change when they are growing older. And this is exactly the thing. When I was young and I was a wild guitar player, I was really very much into this kind of guitar. I thought this is the nicest guitar ever. It's just the beauty. It must be black. It must have rosewood fingerboard. It must have a humbucker, Floyd Rose tremolo, and it must have a pointing headstock. Well, those days I thought that the ugliest guitar ever is the Telecaster, and the worst sounding guitar ever is the Stratocaster. And a couple of years later, these days, I think this is not me at all. I don't like black guitars. Pointy headstocks are just kind of strange for me. I'm more of a traditionalist. I found that humbucking pickups are for sure, they don't have the hum, so they are not that noisy as the single coils, but they are too polished. They don't have the dynamics for me, and they don't have that many highs. So it's in fact, this is exactly the guitar I would never touch in the guitar store these days. But still, it's a great guitar, and there are some wonderful sounds. So I'm using it at the studio a lot, and it's sometimes I even enjoy it. And this is really a unique one because it's 1986 Kramer guitar. It was those days were when Kramer still produced some real great guitars, and you can see that I don't know if you see it in there. The Floyd Rose tremolo is kind of they didn't know how to do it, and they have a special block in for the springs so that it stays in one position. But you can go up and you can go down. That's great to do dive bombs. All right. But well, that's it. But it's that's great, but it's not my kind of music. And I don't know if you remember those days I said, or the last time I said, that I cannot imagine that I would put a tattoo those days on my arm, because I would definitely hate it now. Because I changed completely. I think that the most beautiful guitar is the Telecaster and the best sounding is the Stratocaster. So it's completely opposite, and for me it's really very difficult to understand what has happened. Well, and this is another guitar, carving guitar, which was even better for me those days because it has a humbucking guitar not only at the bridge position but even at the neck position, and it's it has a floating tremolo. So you can do this trick, that's great. Fun. You can go crazy, but what I like about it, that I like to use the neck pickup for the lead. And the bridge pickup for the what has happened? For the backing tracks. So this is amazing guitar. It's very light. It's a neck through body. Amazing sustain. Great. Again, I would use it in the studio for those special tricks. I used it in Best Buy when I wanted to do that little trick with the tremolo and keep it sounding. But not for the whole song as it is. It's a pity because it's a great guitar. But still, I don't feel like it's me anymore. But it's part of my life, so I will never give up her. But then I went further. This is amazing instrument, and I must say, even though this is humbucking pickups both. This Music Man guitar is probably one of the best guitars I've ever owned. Maybe emotionally, maybe the biggest one. I played it a lot, many years. It was my number one guitar. It has beautiful sounds, and it turns to be a little bit more traditional because this one doesn't have a floating tremolo, it's just fixed. So that's the thing that you have with the tremolos. When you bend a string and you have a floating tremolo, it changed the tuning. So it's pretty bad to play it. So I need to have a fixed bridge to be able to do the bend. It's just a beautiful sounding guitar, and even best, I think that Music Man makes probably the best necks I've ever had in my hand, and that's the thing that each player has a different hand, different fingers, and I wasn't fortunate in that point, so I had pretty short fingers and fat fingers. So for me, this is exactly the neck shape that suits so extremely well. So I had a lot of good time with this guitar, and I have to retire her because it happened once that my guitars were stolen after the show. And that was exactly in those days when this was my number one guitar. And that night was one exception that I didn't take it with me. I was testing another one, and I lost it. So I said, okay, if this would be it, emotionally it would be very hard for me. And the other time was when I was traveling with this guitar by plane, and I could not take it on board. And I was so happy that finally I found the guitar at the airport. So I said, this is memento. I cannot play this guitar live anymore. So maybe sometime, somewhere. But this is exactly it. So if I would keep one of those humbucking guitars, only one, this would be it. Because it's a great sounding guitar. But again, I'm a little elsewhere these days. So what I did, I had to move somewhere to have, if I need humbucking sound, to have something I can take with me for any show. So I built this guitar from the guitar kit. It was by Carvin, and it's something like my try of Les Paul, because it's a mahogany body, mahogany neck. I think it's a Honduras mahogany body, and bird's eye maple fingerboard well, if I want to have a humbucking guitar, mahogany would be great choice, and I love this bird's eye maple for the fingerboard. That's my favorite. Wild One, great guitar, but I use it live when I need a humbucking sound, which is for the wilder stuff. We use it, I think, only in the song "Blame It On," because everything else is based on the single coil guitars. And then I used the humbucking guitars for the solos. It's definitely in Rosie. So there's a Music Man guitar in Rosie, and then there's in You're So Wrong. There's Gretsch, and that's the other one. I have the last one with Humbuckers, and that's this beauty. And this is kind of my taste these days. This is how guitar beauty should look like. Great. It's but it asks me to play slowly. It's not very fast playing. Doesn't ask for that. It's more bluesy kind of a guitar. Even with the Bigsby tremolo, this is a different space. So combination of this Gretsch guitar with Telecasters and Stratocasters and Rickenbackers is I think that's the sound haven for me, or sound heaven. Heaven is better than haven. Well, so that's it. I think this is a very interesting discussion. As I said, I'm using humbucking pickups only for the solos and when I want some really distorted, wild guitar sound. But for anything else, I prefer the single coils because they have much more dynamics. They are cleaner. They just sound very clean to me. You hear each string perfectly. So these are the guitars I would use for the song. And that's another thing. These days, I think that the rhythm work of the guitar is much more important than going crazy. So maybe this is one of the main reasons, because I'm a singer as well, why I tend to use the single coil pickup much more. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell us your experience, and watch Charles Boulevard. Subscribe. Viva Charles Boulevard. See you next time.